These are the best eggnog cookies you will ever have, and I'm going to show you how to make them. And I found this recipe on the back of an eggnog container years ago, and I have never found another recipe that compares, so let's get started. But first, we're going to make a rum and eggnog. Ice. This is so good. Gingerbread Captain Morgan's with eggnog. That might be too much, but that's fine. If you end up liking this recipe, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I'm always sharing my favorite recipes and different DIY projects on my channel. This recipe is a huge hit in my family and it's requested every year, so make sure you give it a try. Okay, let's get back to the reason you're here. Let's start making these eggnog cookies. So you're gonna cream together 2 cups of sugar and your butter. I do slightly melt my butter a bit just so it creams with the sugar better. You're gonna mix this together for about 2 to 3 minutes till it's nice and creamy, and then you're adding 1 teaspoon of vanilla and 2 eggs, and then mixing that together in the blender. While our wet ingredients are mixing, we are gonna take a giant bowl and we're gonna combine all of our dry ingredients. So here I am just adding 4.5 cups of flour. This might seem like a lot, but I promise you these cookies are not rock hard in any way. They're nice and moist, so it might seem like a lot, but I swear it's not. Once you have your 4 cups of flour, you're moving on to salt. Okay, we've had this box of salt for as long as I can remember, and it's still more than half full. And we are just taking 1 teaspoon of salt and adding it to the dry mixture. Then, because I don't have cream of tartar, I am using lemon juice as a substitute. So you typically only need 1 teaspoon of cream of tartar, but if you are substituting lemon juice, you're going to need 2 teaspoons. Then lastly, for our dry ingredients, we're adding 1 teaspoon of baking soda here. I also feel like I've had this box of baking soda for as long as I can remember. I feel like I should be switching it out for a new one, but anyways, we used what we had. Then you're going to take a fork or spoon or anything like that and give all these dry ingredients a really good mix. Now let's go check on the wet ingredients.
Look how creamy that looks.
Next, we're going to add some eggnog to the dough, but not all of it. And we're going to alternate with the flour mixture, and I just can't do it with one hand. And you're just going to keep alternating between the dry ingredients and the wet ingredients. I usually do this about 6 to 7 times back and forth until I'm completely out of both ingredients. I also feel like having a rum and eggnog when you're doing Christmas baking is mandatory. I feel like it's also mandatory when you're decorating your house for Christmas too. Does anyone else feel this way, or is it just me? Anyways, back to the recipe. So once we have our dough complete, we're going to be dipping these cookies with a sugar and nutmeg topping. So that's what I'm doing here. So for the topping, you just need half a teaspoon of nutmeg, and then I'm taking 1/3 of a cup of sugar, and I'm just putting this in a small bowl and then mixing those 2 ingredients together. You could cut these ingredients in half because I never end up using the full mixture. And this is my sugar and nutmeg mixture. So you're going to take a scoop of the cookie dough and then dip it into the top of this and then onto the cookie sheet. The dough is very sticky. That is normal. With any cookies I'm making, I love using this little scooper, ice cream scooper mechanism. I'm not actually sure what it's called, but it's so great because all my cookies end up being the same size and I don't have to worry about there being a bigger one that maybe doesn't cook all the way through or a smaller one that burns instantly in the oven. You're going to need to heat your oven up to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. So I would do that before you start laying all the cookies on the tray. And then you're basically just scooping out the dough, dipping it in your sugar mixture. And once that's done, you're going to cook them for 12 minutes in the oven or until you see the bottom of your cookies getting golden brown. Anyways, if you try this recipe and love it, let me know and make sure to hit subscribe.